Is it just me? I don't want to see the pound for pound king, Bud Crawford, Terence Bud Crawford, the pride of Omaha, Nebraska, the 3-time undisputed champion of the world. I don't want to see the man fight Dmitry Bivol at 175 or even at 168, because Bivol was vocal. He said that he is willing to move down to 168 to rematch Canelo Alvarez. Now listen, I'm not completely against the fight. Listen, I'm backing Bud Crawford in that fight. I believe that Bud Crawford would outbox and he would beat Dmitry Bivol. But when do we start saying that, listen, you gotta stop with this. You gotta stop aiming for the stars, because listen, the higher you get, the greater you get without a question. But the harder you will also fall. Now listen, like I said, I do favor Bud Crawford to beat Dmitry Bivol, but why in the world would the man fight Dmitry Bivol and risk it all? Because I'm not gonna lie, it's gonna be definitely a tough fight. And I actually saw a picture of them standing next to each other. I believe the picture will be the thumbnail of this video. And I'm gonna be honest, Bivol isn't really the biggest guy in the world. I mean, the man is like 5'11", 193 probably, 194 outside of camp. But on the other hand, he's probably 5'8", 5'9" maximum. And he's probably 185, 187 outside of camp. So listen, there will be like a height difference, but when you actually talk about the size, like, and the girth, you know, and like the thickness of Bud and like Bivol, I don't think it would be that much. But I mean, same thing goes for like a Bud versus David Benavidez. Why in the world would Bud Crawford fight David Benavidez? David Benavidez, I mean, literally the man last month came out and said that I'm negotiating with Zudo Ramirez to fight him at cruiserweight for his belts if I don't get the shot to fight Dmitry Bivol. David Benavidez, I believe, is currently, listen beautiful people, forget Artur Beterbiev. Much respect to the legend and the great Artur Beterbiev. Wow, one of the greatest light heavyweights of all time, one of the most feared light heavyweights of all time. The man got his shot to fight for undisputed at 40 years old. That tells you everything you want to know. He's been ducked for years. I believe David Benavidez is the best 175 pounder on earth, and I also believe that aside from Jai Opetaya, David Benavidez can clean house at cruiserweight at 200 pounds. That's just my opinion. So I don't really get why people want to see Terence Bud Crawford go up in weight even more and challenge these monsters. Now, if anything, Bud Crawford actually skipped 160 and he only fought at 154 once. So if anything, I would actually like to see the man, if he's going to continue fighting. I mean, listen, if I had it my way, I would just tell Bud Crawford, listen, champ, retire. I mean, listen, you've made so much money. You have accomplished so much. You are only the second fighter in history to win championships at 135 and all the way to 168. So, and the only 3-time undisputed champion ever. And probably, it's going to be very, very hard, beautiful people, to see another 3-weight undisputed champion. Especially with the wins that Bud got. I mean, listen, he moved up to 168 and he beat Canelo Alvarez. He unified all the belts at 147 versus the undefeated number 3 pound for pound at the time, Errol Spence. Demolished him, destroyed him, beat the living crap out of him, changed him as a human, retired him, some might say. So, if anything, I believe that Kairos Adames actually will be fighting Janibek for the unified 160 titles in the co-main event of Teofimo Lopez versus Shakur Stevenson in January. So if anything, Bud Crawford, if he's going to fight again, he's probably going to fight in May. April, May, June, probably. The man, I don't believe he's going to retire, even though I want him to retire. But more than likely, Bud is not retiring. Let's just be honest. With all the money that he's making, with all the greatness, with all the just praise that the man's been getting, I believe he's absolutely addicted to greatness now. And I don't believe that the man is going anywhere. He's probably going to fight once or twice before he retires. Even though, like I said, I pray to God that Bud Crawford retires. But if he's going to keep on fighting, why not try to be undisputed at 160? I mean, listen, I favor Bud to become undisputed at 160 more than undisputed at 175, because if you want to be undisputed at 175, you gotta beat Bivol and you gotta beat David Benavidez, the Mexican monster, the most feared man in boxing. And by the time Crawford probably fights David, he's what, gonna be like 39 years old? Enough is enough. But let's actually talk about the possible matchups for Bud at 160. You know, who is he going to fight? Either Adames or Janibek. Listen, if you actually go to YouTube, there is a sparring session when Bud was at 140 pounds. He sparred Carlos Adames and they both beat the crap out of each other in that sparring session. But Adames quit in that sparring session because if you actually watch the sparring at the end of it, when the round finished, Adames went to his corner and he said no mas. So Bud knows that he can get to him. And if you know anything about Carlos Adames, listen, I've been watching Carlos Adames for a long time. Since the ESPN days. Before he was he was with PBC. He was with ESPN in Top Rank. When he was at 154. And listen, Carlos Adames' nickname is the Horse for a reason. It's because the man punches like a horse kicks. Let me tell you, beautiful people. Carlos Adames is one of the most dangerous champions in the sport of boxing, and he is one of the most underrated champions in the sport of boxing. The man is an absolute monster. The man is an absolute killer. And at 160, if you actually look at Carlos Adames' career, it's been interesting. His last fight versus Hamza Shiraz, you know, he looked good, but that wasn't the best Hamza Shiraz. That wasn't the best Carlos Adames. And the fight before that, he fought Terrell Gaucher. He didn't look too good. He looked actually horrible. That was by far his worst performance, the worst performance in his career. That was actually a worse performance than his loss versus Patrick Teixeira at 154. But before that fight, when he fought Montiel and when he fought Julian J-Rock Williams, he looked like the best 160-pounder on earth. He will be fighting Janibek, God willing, in January. Now what about Janibek? Janibek is an absolute monster. I believe Janibek would probably give Bud Crawford the most problems. Southpaw, heavy-handed, excellent lead jab, excellent distance control, vicious, and I mean vicious uppercuts, and he got that killer instinct. When Janibek hurts you, he's coming for the finish. But Janibek, I'll tell you his biggest weakness. Janibek's biggest weakness is that the man is weight drained. Actually, 2 fights ago when he fought Andrei Mikhailovich, the Australian gentleman, that fight happened after it got rescheduled twice. Why did it get rescheduled the first time? It's because Janibek fainted while trying to make weight. He literally passed out on weigh-in day. And you can tell, you can see Janibek on the scales, he looks absolutely shot. And not just that. Janibek, when he fought Andrei Mikhailovich, they only fought for his IBF championship. Why? Is because they wanted to weight drain him with the 10-pound rehydration clause of the IBF. I believe now it became 12 pounds. But still, that is nothing when you talk about a fighter who's struggling to make weight. So I'm not too sure what's next for Bud. If I had it my way, I would tell the man to retire, but more than likely, he's going to keep fighting. But I have absolutely no interest whatsoever in seeing him versus Bivol. But if that fight happens, listen, I'm rocking with Bud Crawford.